Hi everyone, welcome back to the Student Arcs Network. It's Ryan here. Today I'm joined by Mari to talk about some important perspectives in the pharmaceutical industry. Mari, would you like to introduce yourself?
Thank you. My name is Marianne Albarracin, but everyone calls me Mari. I'm a P4 at Loma University and current student trustee for CPHA.
Thank you. First of all, how did you first get interested in industry and how did it get started?
So industry is always something that's been in the back of my mind. I come from a family that has some pharmacists in it, mostly women because it has pharmacy allows women to have like a good work-life balance, especially for families. Um, I've really been into research and stuff. So when I was pursuing pharmacy, I wanted to find ways to apply that and what kind of opportunities there are for us pharmacists, like getting into pharmacy. And industry was something that I explored, continued to explore throughout my pharmacy journey. And I'm really enjoying like everything I'm learning about it and all the opportunities there are for us.
Yeah, great. So for those who are listening out there or watching this out there, would you mind describing what exactly is the pharmaceutical industry and what's a pharmacist's role playing in it? Because a lot of people, when they think about the industry, is mostly scientists who are doing the drug discovery process and things like that. So would you mind giving a little bit background on it?
Yeah, for sure. So the pharmacy industry is kind of an area where it is for drug development. It's usually under companies and it's usually in a place where it's people from all varying different backgrounds. It's not the same as like working within the community or a hospital where you're going to be surrounded by mostly patients and other medical professionals. They're going to be people from business, from MDs, PhDs, and where pharmacists play a role into it is that, we're the drug experts. So we're the ones that are trained to know the medical jargon, how medicines work, and being able to translate what the FDA, what the government puts in to like help regulate and, provide the safety of these drugs for patients. So it's important for pharmacists to be a part of every step of the drug development process so that we have a hand for from a drug development process from start to finish.
Yeah, great. So again, thank you for explaining the role of the pharmacist in the pharmaceutical industry. Now that we mentioned the term drug development process, would you mind describing a little bit about what's that exactly? And people hear about clinical trials in the news, right? What exactly is that? Because sometimes those things confuse people.
Right. So the drug development process is something we learn around like our P1 year in pharmacy school, but we kind of like touch on it briefly because most of the things we learn in school is like clinical and like learning all the ins and outs, the MOAs and all the side effects of these different drugs. But where all of this information comes from is actually back from the manufacturers. So the drug development process is kind of how they get from finding something that maybe has some therapeutic value to the end product where it can be, mass produced and turned into medicines for people. So the way it goes is that first and foremost, like above all, is that there's going to be drug safety. We don't want to be killing people. So either by mistake or, from previous research, we find like this one molecule that might help us as people. And then you test whether it's safe in humans. So you'll start off with like only a couple people, like under 100 people. And then each phase of the clinical trial is expanding to more and more people. We learn about like journal articles and stuff where it has more power the more people that are involved in the study, and it's a better study, correct? So each clinical trial is making these groups bigger and bigger, trying to find anything that can go wrong, any of the things we learn. And then once there's a large amount of people to show that this medicine isn't going to hurt anyone, and also that it's useful to us in treating a disease state, then it can be submitted into FDA approval for, they call it an NDA or a yeah, a new drug application, to which it will be out to everyone, and that's what's phase 4, and they call it like towards the end of the drug development process, so that we can learn, like continue to learn.
Yeah, thank you for describing that. And obviously, when you talk about efficacy or usage of medications or new medications, right? There's oftentimes you want to compare how the new one works better than the old one, and that's kind of where the clinical trials like stand a point where how to differentiate between like how these things can treat different disease states, right? And what you describe about how the last part when it got FDA approved and like is now currently commercially marketed, it can be still in something called the phase 4 trial where we can still evaluate in terms of how any potential side effects that the mass public might be experiencing, any kind of trends like that, to just ensure like the safety is continue to be regulated. So yeah, thank you for providing that information. Moving on, just kind of want to talk about pharmacists who are working in this area. I know you mentioned like the things that they can do, but are there any kind of specific roles that a pharmacist can do within the pharmaceutical industry?
Yes. So they call it functional areas. There's a lot of lingo that's specific to the pharmaceutical industry. And with that, fellowships, which is like the path that most pharmacy students end up um, going into to pipeline into the industry. So some things include pharmacovigilance, which ties into safety. We all know our MSLs, which is our medical science liaisons, and they're usually the ones that us students are more exposed to, because they're there to teach students about the up and coming drugs based on the company. There's regulatory affairs, which is something that I'm personally interested in, which is the liaison between the FDA and then their drug companies. And basically every point of the drug development process, a pharmacist is going to be there, and they have their own name for what their role is in each point of the process.
Yeah, sounds great. So for the folks out there who would like to learn more about the role of a pharmacist working in the pharmaceutical industry, what kind of advice do you have for them?
So, something that I've found, going through my farm school journey, is that we know that the pharmaceutical industry is there, and a lot of people are trying to go into it because, there's talk about saying there's really good work life balance, how there's going to be money there, for example, right? And how you can like grow up the leaderboard and stuff. But the most important thing with learning about this and realizing is that a lot of this we don't learn in school. So a lot of this isn't like handed to us on a platter. So it's very important to go to events, go to conferences, and be able to put yourself out there and ask about people that are already in the role, like the fellows and those MSLs and other pharmacists that are working within the pharmaceutical industry. And, being able to ask them the right questions and asking them how does their role play into the drug development process, because that's kind of the bread and butter of the pharmaceutical industry. By being able to learn more about all the different roles that pharmacists have within the pharmaceutical industry, you can kind of choose which ones align with your personality type and what you're kind of looking for in a profession. And that's how you can tell what functional area you really align with. And from there, you find out what they do, and what how important they are in the process. And by doing that, you're able to apply for fellowships and show your recruiters that you really know what you're applying for and what you're going into, so that they don't think you're going into a fellowship just for the money, or just to like look good. And you already did your research and the work ahead of time. So starting that from, I would say, like P1 or P2 is like very important. And even if you don't end up going into the pharmaceutical industry, all these connections are very important and like can serve you well in the future too.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And for those who might be finding it difficult to find someone out there in regards to learning about this career type, obviously there are student pharmacist organizations such as IPHO, Industry Pharmacist Organization, student chapters to kind of help you to connect if your school has one. So once again, thank you for talking about the things you can learn from the pharmaceutical industry. And yeah, click a like if you enjoy this video. Click share if you want to share to someone who are interested in this career. And click subscribe to follow more of our content. And I'll see you next time.
Thank you.